You are listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which invites you along on a journey to learn of mindful living, grow in mental health, and inspire through personal growth. In a world where we can often feel much stress and overwhelm, this podcast provides bite-sized tips and real talk conversations, empowering you to embrace mindfulness and nurture your full potential. I'm your host, Vanessa De Jesus Guzman, licensed therapist, retired educator, entrepreneur, and mom of two. I'm passionate about helping busy moms reduce the overwhelm and to live life intentionally without losing their, well, here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 222 of the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. As you may know, my practice and my podcast stand on three pillars: mindful living, mental health, and personal growth. And I take great pride in being intentional with furthering my experience in all three areas. Just recently, I attended a conference where two amazing educators were presenting the concept of stress, which I think is really interesting, being that the first Wednesday of every November is National Stress Awareness Month, which is really interesting because I'm pretty sure we are all pretty aware of our stress. But I'll share with you that one of the major takeaways from their workshop was that stress isn't always terrible, one, and two, that if we're being honest with ourselves, some of us kind of even like it. Now, I can hear some of you scoffing and your eyes rolling from here, but I do see where they're coming from. Because think about it. If there's one struggle that moms especially are familiar with, is the concept of stress. A survey conducted by one poll of about 2,000 American moms found that while one in three moms were reporting feeling of stress at least 5 days a week, 67% feel like a burden when they reach out to their family to share their feelings. And 46% of moms say that they hide these feelings because telling someone else would actually make them feel worse, like a failure. And just recently in episode 218, we talked about managing our focus when we have a never ending to do list of priorities that it seems we have to juggle all the time, from taking care of our kids to our partners to our homes and ourselves. From coordinating our child's pickup and drop off at school to making sure that we don't miss scheduling that meeting, planning out our finances, carving out time for household tasks, planning date nights, trying to incorporate much needed me time. And with the holiday season coming up, there's only more to think about, like figuring out gifts and organizing parties and taking off for days for vacations, and the list goes on and on and on. And yes, it can get overwhelming to create a balance that leaves us feeling healthy and happy. And as a result, it's not just a lack of focus we feel, it's also stressful with a capital S. And yes, there are things that we have to and must do. We have to pack up the kids' lunch unless they buy it at school. We have to pick them up from school. They can't just stay there. We have to make sure they're fed. And I'm sure you can think of so many more have tos. But here are some questions for you that may or may not make you feel a little uncomfortable. Sure, the kids need to eat lunch, but do their sandwiches need to be cut up into perfect angled stars? Or can they be fed just the same with two slices of bread and a slice of cheese in between? Sure, your kids need to be entertained, but do their activities have to be Pinterest perfect, or can they enjoy a simple game of tag in the backyard? Sure, you want to create memorable birthday parties, but do they need to be elaborately themed? Or would a casual gathering with friends and cake do just fine? Sure, your house needs to be clean, but do the floor have to shine like a magazine spread? Or can they be clean enough? Sure, your kids love gifts, but do they really need a mountain of presents each birthday or holiday season? Or would a few thoughtfully chosen ones be just as special? You get the gist. Sometimes we are the first to say, but my kids want these memories. But do they though? Or do they just want their parents? And is it you that they really want? Because think about it, is a Pinterest perfect party the memory they'll remember when they are adults and you're old and gray? Or are they going to just remember the time you spent with them instead? So I ask you, sometimes this very hard question to hear and answer. Who is making you, making in quotation marks, who is making you do all these things? And when you have unstructured time, do you feel anxious or do you find it freeing? And I'll be super honest with you. I too love being busy. Now, I don't like the stress that I feel with it, but think about it. I'm my own boss. No one is making me do anything, nor am I forced to volunteer for all the different organizations that I'm a part of. So when things do get super stressful and my bandwidth runs low, where I don't have the energy to spend quality time with my family, I have to stop and ask myself, why? And is this the stressed out, snippy version of me that I want my kids to remember about their mom? So when you answer those questions, I want you to just reflect on those answers and then listen in to some of these tips to help you regain control over stress and feel less overwhelmed. The first, take advantage of mini mindful moments. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment to relax or for someone to give you that gift certificate to the spa, carve out little pockets of time. 10 to 30 minutes here and there. Sometimes it has to be 10 to 30 seconds here and there. It can be a quick breath, a quick walk, listening to a fun podcast, squeezing in some stretches, lighting a candle, or just a couple of mindful breaths. Those little breaks can make all the difference. The second tip is don't forget about the basics. And those are sleep, eating well, and moving your body. The same things we've been hearing since kindergarten. Take care of yourself. The third is set boundaries, especially with the holiday season coming up. This can feel like a whirlwind with endless invitations and events piling up. Know that it's okay to say no to things that aren't top priorities. Protect your time so that you can recharge and focus on what truly matters to you and your family. The fourth tip is don't hesitate to ask for help. It's easy to feel like you have to handle everything on your own. But remember, reaching out doesn't mean that you're failing. Talk to trusted friends or family members who can offer support and perhaps offer a perspective that can make a big difference for you. And here's my favorite tip. Hi there. The U.S. Surgeon General just released a statement saying that parent stress is at an all-time high. 41% of parents say that on most days they're so stressed that they cannot even function. So, what do we do about it? Sign up for this 10-day Cultivate Calm challenge. Every day you'll receive a video from me, 2 minutes, explaining a skill, walking you through it, and then you practice it throughout your day. You do this for 10 days, doing things consistently, you'll start to get positive changes and have a little bit of that stress melt away as you handle it so much better. Sign up today in the space below. You'll receive an email immediately, and you can begin your challenge today. And here's my favorite tip. Shift your mindset from I have to I get to. There will be days when everything seems to go wrong, and that is okay. Instead of stressing over what you can't control, try to focus on the positives, even when it doesn't seem as a positive. I've really been trying to focus on this tip lately because we know newborn and infant life is tough, and that waking up multiple times in the middle of the night, plainly said, just sucks. However, instead of focusing on the lack of sleep, I reset my mindset and think, how lucky am I to have this miracle baby to wake up to? Instead of thinking about how awful it feels to be so tired, it just softens it up a little bit. I truly believe in focusing on what you can control because we cannot control babies crying. We cannot control when our kids get all of the homework on one day, and we cannot control these crazy elections or their aftermath. But what we can control is being intentional with the way we spend our energy. As we wrap up today's episode, remember that stress is a natural part of motherhood, but it doesn't have to define your motherhood experience. By embracing these mini mindful moments, setting boundaries, shifting your mindset, you can regain control and find joy amidst the chaos. Take a moment to reflect on what truly matters to you and to your family, and know that it's perfectly okay to let go of the pressure to be perfect. You're doing an amazing, amazing job. And every step you take towards mindful living is a step towards a happier, healthier you, and in turn, a happier and healthier family. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you feel inspired to create a life filled with intention and peace. And I now invite you to join me on this short guided meditation. So, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, I invite you to settle into the space you're in and take a moment to reflect on what you truly need in your life. First, by reflecting on your past, which can be done now or in a journal when you have a moment. Think about what messages did you receive growing up about stress and achievement? And how do those messages influence you today? Once you reflect on your past, think about your present. Think about what is it that you can let go of? What is truly essential for your well-being? And then, my friends, picture yourself living life with ease and joy. Take this moment and actually visualize a day where you embrace the small moments, where stress doesn't overwhelm you, but becomes a manageable part of your everyday life. Have the courage to not only reflect on these questions, but to make the changes you need to help you live a more intentional life filled with joy, because you and your kids deserve it. Thank you, friends, for joining me. And as always, remember, in a world where we are free to be anything that we want to be, we are always free to be mindful. Catch you next time. Free to Be Mindful exists because of viewers and listeners like you. If you're enjoying the podcast or felt this week's show resonated with you, please take a moment to leave a rate and review on the platform where you catch your favorite shows. That quick and easy act allows me to see what you're enjoying so I can deliver more personalized content that focuses on learning, growing, and inspiring. It also helps others find the podcast too. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen along next week. And if you can do me the favor and share this podcast on social or with a friend who may benefit from the message shared today, that would be truly appreciated. In the meantime, I welcome you to follow me on social media across all platforms at Counselor V. De Jesus for more fun content. And remember, my friends, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.